Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Dear Administrator, today's seniors and Bayshore Guest Home and Gardens. It is an honor and truly a privilege for me today to welcome my guest, attorney at law Bob Klingbeil, and I have seen him in action and I have understood a lot of the legal issues because he has a way of explaining it that is much more people-friendly, especially people that are not used to always dealing with the law. Bob, welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
One of the things that I have referred actually someone to you is, let's begin with some of the documents that you feel are extremely important that people my age need to think about as well as elder people.
Okay. Well, we kind of refer to it as an estate planning package, if you will. But the important documents are a will. Now, a last will and testament, you might, is the full name, where in that document you describe not only who you would like to receive your assets and under what strings attached, but who do you want to administer your estate and be in charge. The will would only take effect following your death, and at any time prior to that you could make changes to it. The other document that is very important is a durable power of attorney. Durable power of attorney is where you literally empower another person to transact your business. So first and foremost, it must be someone in whom you have trust.
Yes.
Okay, because a misconception is, well, the power of attorney will only become effective when I become incapacitated. Well, that's not true. At least in the state of Florida, our legislature passed a law this year. It became effective October 1 that basically said that was called a springing power of attorney, yes, where it didn't take effect until you became incapacitated. We no longer recognize that. It is valid when you sign it and that person is empowered. But through a power of attorney, in the event you are unable to manage your own affairs, this person in whom you've reposed trust can go to your banks, can pay your bills, can make investment decisions. They can sell assets, including your home. Again, you need to have trust in this person, because if the bank allows them to take all the money out of your account, you can't complain to the bank because they were following a valid legal document. So those two instruments deal with your property. The will being taking effect when you die, the power of attorney during your lifetime. Some other very important instruments having to do with your health and health care. Probably one of the most important is, in Florida, we call it a designation of a health care surrogate. And you might think that is analogous to a healthcare power of attorney. So they're very similar, but in that basically you name another person who, in the event your physician or caregivers determine you're not capable of making informed decisions about your health care anymore, that person has the authority to make those decisions. And what's doubly or even equally important, if you will, is that the designation of a healthcare surrogate also releases the healthcare professional from his duty of confidentiality, and so that they can share this information with you so that you can make an informed decision. Under our current laws of confidentiality, and in particular federal legislation known as HIPAA, a physician or a healthcare facility is really not allowed to share any information about you, but if you have this document, they can share the information and rely on you. So that's a very, very important instrument.
At Bayshore Guest Home and Gardens, I really am very loath to have a resident who does not have a healthcare surrogate. Because as we age, the brain atrophies, judgments change, and then their decision-making skills can put them in jeopardy.
Yeah, and I say, you know, people of any age, adult age, you should designate a healthcare surrogate if you were to be in some type of accident. It may only be a temporary disability, but during that period of time, there's another person who can make meaningful and informed decisions about your health care. Another document within the package, as we call it, would be a living will. Now, living will is a completely personal decision, but it is your decision about the end of your life. And if you are in I will just call it a hopeless terminal condition, and there are safeguards built into this to where it's got to be 2 physicians who will certify that what you are suffering with, you are not going to recover from, and it is going to cause your death. Well, rather than stringing it along with what our statute calls life-prolonging procedures, which could be a respirator, it could be any number of things, then you are making the decision for you. I don't want that. Keep me comfortable, alleviate all pain, but don't use heroic or measures that are just going to briefly prolong the inevitable. And again, that's a personal decision. But if that's how you feel, take the burden off your loved ones.
Yes.
And make the decision so that they know about it. And kind of in the area of confidentiality, I often tell clients that what you put in your last will and testament, if you don't care to share that with anyone, don't. But the healthcare directives, it's almost like there ought to be a public register where you go and know that they are there, because if the person, first of all, if your healthcare provider doesn't know about them, they don't do any good, or even if the person that you name to have that authority doesn't know about it, they don't do you any good. So I tell you, send copies to everybody. Give a copy to your doctor. Believe it or not, under the Medicare law, if you go on an elective admission to a hospital, and generally you'll have a pre-admission meeting or certification, that's one of the questions they will ask you by law. Do you have advanced directives, which is what we call living will healthcare certificate? They can't say we won't treat you unless you sign one, but they have to ask if you have it.
Well, and I worked with Howard Burse, fire chief, the volunteer Nokomis firefighters, and we amended the file for life. If you like, we can send you some to your office, where it has the location of your documents, who has copies of your documents, your medications, your hospital of choice, next of kin, medical surrogate, etc. And that is usually it's on the refrigerator.
That was the other thing I was going to talk about. I mean, the quote official documents are the will and the power of attorney. Some people use revocable living trust, which is a little more advanced, but it's a way to plan your estate, the distribution of your estate. But those are the official documents. Unofficially, your next of kin or your chosen beneficiaries, at a minimum, need to know that you have these and where to find them. And what we do in our office, after a person comes and signs their documents, we note in our file, client took and placed in safe deposit box at such and such bank, if that's what they do. We always ask. Or we have 2 fireproof vaults in our office where we literally have probably hundreds of wills, and we will note in our file that it's in our vault. But we like to know where the document is, because we will, from time to time, get a call. My mom passed away, I can't find her will. Well, according to our notes, this is where it is.
That's a wonderful service that you offer your clients.
We do that. And the other thing, and this gets touchy, because your assets are generally, people are pretty close to the chest about that. They don't want to share what they have or what their plans are, and yet if it's all too secret, it's difficult to find them later. So my recommendation to my clients is that somewhere with their will, perhaps, you keep a listing of the banks or financial institutions where you have accounts. Where is your safe deposit box, if in fact you have one, and where is the key? Kind of like what you were describing, I believe, on that document you worked with the fire department with. But and then you need to update that periodically, because your broker may move from A company to B company, and you move your account with him or her, and then that list is now obsolete.
Would you recommend that when you have a client who's done their paperwork and something changes, that they come in and just make sure everything's updated in your office?
Well, we suggest that we like to have a copy of that master list. Okay. So if it's changed, that they'll just send a copy to us. And I'm very often asked, how often do I have to update my will? Mm-hmm. Well, you may go 25 years and you don't need to update your will because you have the same chosen beneficiaries, etc. However, what I tell people is about every 3 years, just take it out and read it. And you'll go, okay, that's still what I want. Because it's interesting, I will get people that came in and they say, oh, I read my will and this isn't what I want. And then we can make changes. But just read it and say, yep, we're still. My name is Bob Klingbeil. I'm an attorney in Venice, Florida. Our office is at 341 West Venice Avenue in downtown Venice. We're across from the post office. Telephone is 941-485-2900, and we also have a web page at www.k-rlaw.com.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for watching today's Seniors, Bayshore Guest Home and Gardens, and Dear Administrator. And please read the column and take to heart what Bob has said, because I have been privy to a lot of things where an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. Have a wonderful day.